Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Jade Bushodon. I'm working for Follow the Camino, and I'm going to be your host today for the presentation on the different caminos we have around Europe. So I'm just going to wait a couple of more minutes to see if we have more attendees. So at the moment, I see we have Anne, Brenda, Jackie, Rob, and Tara Monahan. So I guess we have a few people coming early from Ireland as well. So that's good to see. So I have two of my colleagues as well online. I have Tanya on the side and Sylvia. They're going to help me to guide you through the presentation. We're going to try to keep the question towards the end, but if you need something to know something urgent, you can pop a message on the chat and Sylvia will help you. So we're just going to wait a few more minutes here. Mm. Mm. Can you all see my presentation properly, the first tab? If you don't mind putting something on the chat to say yes, I can see it, or if you can hear me as well, because I can only hear myself for now. Okay, I see a little thumbs up as well. Mm. Okay, I think we can start the presentation anyway. If they have more questions, they can contact us as well, or we can do another presentation. So we're gonna cover a few topics. First of all, we're gonna talk about the Camino and to see what are the different routes we can share around across the different countries, because it's not only in Spain, it's also in France and Portugal. We're gonna show you some of our recommendation. If you want to walk the full length, then you can stay for over 30 days, or if you just have 1 week, you want to spend it maybe towards the end of the Camino, what you can expect in terms of daily distances, accommodation, the type of meals, and general experience as well. You know, when we go on a holiday into a destination, we have an idea in mind, but sometimes the reality can be different, hopefully better than what we saw online. So we're going to talk about it. And we're going to see the logistic as well, the details for the accommodation, the services we can include as well, and what you should pack as well in your daily backpack, and how to prepare for the walk, because you will be walking or cycling. So you need to be ready for this. And at the end, we're going to have questions and answers if you have any. I'm going to load all of them at once. So first of all, we need to learn about the different type of routes. Some of them will be a true physical challenge with a lot of hills, a lot of mountains. Others will be physical challenge because of the daily distances. We will have 18 miles, and because of the lack of accommodation, we cannot necessarily shorten it. So if your level of fitness or is lower, or if you just want to enjoy your holidays and not walk too much, then we can move you towards some itineraries that will be more manageable. Or if you want to travel with your kids as well, I don't think they will enjoy walking 24 kilometers every day if they're just 12 years old. So we can make it shorter. We can make sure you have comfortable accommodation as well. Or if you want to see the cultural part as well of the Camino, like if you are more of a foodie, we want to bring you towards some vineyards, some seafood. If you like the wine, we're going to show you something else. But if you want to see just the cathedrals, the churches, then we're going to change your itinerary as well. In terms of hotels as well, depending on your request, but also your budget, we can have different level of comfort. We can have private rooms or dormitories, or something with more character, like similar to a bed and breakfast, but in Spain, so like a pension or albergue or a pension for French. We can also have the daily luggage transfer, every day being picked up from your accommodation and brought to the next one. We will send you as well a holiday pack. So all of the pilgrims towards the end of the walk, when they reach Santiago, they can get a certificate, the Compostela. So we're going to send you a little pilgrim passport, which you stamp every day. And at the end of the walk, you get your certificate. So this is something you don't need to look for it. You don't need to go to Lisbon Cathedral to buy it. It will be waiting for you at your first accommodation with some travel documents, with the luggage tag, and we also give you access to the mobile phone with the app. We Follow the Camino app. You can track everything online. You can see all of your accommodation booked and also the map. You can use the GPS. And of course, the support. We are here when we are doing the quotation, when we are booking your accommodation, but also when you are on the Camino, okay? We are sharing a phone, all of us together, and we can assist you outside of office hours. So if you have an emergency over the weekend, we are here to help you. Now, let's see a few numbers on the Camino. As you can see on the map, first of all, we are covering 3 different countries. Those are the main Caminos we are offering. You have the one starting in France, in Le Puy, that goes all across France, and it's reaching another Camino called Camino Frances, because the French used to come by this road, but technically most of it is in Spain. Only one day is from France, so French route. In the north, along the Atlantic coast, you have the Northern Way that's going to merge with the Camino Primitivo and end into Santiago. In the very south of Spain, we have the Via de la Plata. This one is all across Spain, pretty long distances, but also very beautiful, very different type of landscape. And if you like history, it's a good one. We have the section starting in Lisbon as well, the Portuguese way. And when you reach Porto, you can also decide on to take the coastal road, which is also nice for foodies. Very nice. And the last 2 roads, it's the red one on top that starts in Ferrol. It's the English/Irish way. So they used to come by boat into Ferrol and then do the walking to Compostela. And in orange, you can see it's called Finisterra. So most of the Camino walkers like to end this walk into Santiago, but technically you can do the extension into El Finisterra to go to the ocean. And historically, some pilgrims will go into El Finisterra, the ocean, pick up the scallop shells and bring it with them back home as a token or as a proof that they did the walk. So you won't be alone on the Camino. We have some numbers on the number of pilgrims that attended the walk in 2022. The numbers for 2023 are not quite ready, and 24 is not over yet. So as you can see, a very large majority of the people are walkers, 94%, and the rest are cycling. The reason is the infrastructure. Not all of the Caminos can be cycled. Because yes, technically you will say, I have my bike, I can go wherever I want, but not necessarily. You need to have the bike renters and also the roads. You cannot drive everywhere with your mountain bikes. So it's important for us to bring some safety into you. So we are not going to send you cycling on a road that we haven't tried ourselves or is not approved as a cycling Camino. So there's only 2 Caminos you can do cycling, the French route in yellow and the coastal Portuguese in purple, starting in Porto. So that's why there's less people cycling as well. And traditionally, it's really a walker's type of holiday. 50% of the walkers are over 45 years old, so a lot of experienced people. More than half of the people are doing the French route, so the one in yellow is extremely popular, followed by the Portuguese road. A lot of people are starting from Porto, actually, not just from Lisbon, and 7% on the coastal road, because this one is kind of a new, more recent road, because historically the very first Camino was dating from the 14th century, when the coastal is maybe just less than 100 years old. Oh, sorry, we do have the numbers for 2023. So the numbers are increasing. We are 10K more than the previous year, almost. And we have a little bit less people walking. The number of people are increasing, and we still see the same numbers, or very similar numbers, for people walking Frances Portuguese. Just a slight increase on the Camino Portuguese, the coastal Portuguese, because as I said, it's a beautiful one by the coast, nice seafood and vineyards. We're going to talk about this later. So far, we had 353,000 pilgrim certificates. So just from people arriving into Santiago. Not everybody choose to do the full walk, so this means there's even more pilgrims doing the Camino every year. So we're going to start to talk about the French route. As I've told you with the numbers, this is the most popular route. It's about 800 kilometers. It starts in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, so it's right at the border between France and Spain. And after a few hours, you are already into Spain. It's around 34 walking days with an average of 24 to 28 kilometers per day. And it's divided into 8 sections. As you can see, the different numbers are the sections on the presentation. And most of the sections are lasting between 4 to 7 days, depending on the distances you need to do. So the main cities would be Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, very famous for the pepper, Pamplona with the bull race. We have Logroño, an important center, Burgos with the historical places of Atapuerca. Sahagún is slightly smaller, but also very nice. Lyon, they have the big cathedral and the castle to visit. Ponferrada, it's also very nice, right at the bottom of the Galician mountains. And Sarria, it's the stop that marks the last 100 kilometers into Santiago. So usually this is when you start to have really a lot of more pilgrims on the walk. From Sarria, it's getting really busy. And finally, Santiago, the end of the road. So on those little graph on the top one, you can see the elevation. So the first day is the hardest one, as you need to cross the Pyrenees. And then depending on the region you will be crossing, you have some ups and downs. As you can see in the middle between day 8 and 24, it's rather similar. It's because you are crossing La Meseta. It's a lot of fields, cereal fields. So very similar type of landscape every day. It's also very nice. In the tent, it's really interesting. There's a lot of cultural backgrounds, but some people decide to skip it sometimes. You know, when you cannot afford to have 34 days of holidays, you can do it within 3 weeks by skipping some sections as well. So you have some nice bridges when you get there. That's the type of landscape you will have in La Meseta. So this one, I think it was taking end of August, beginning of September, after the harvest. We have the crossing of the Pyrenees. So this is when you are getting down from the mountains. Oh, yes. So on the picture, you can see Umberto. That's our CEO, my boss. So this is right after Pamplona. There's a fountain that gives you free wine. The point is not to get drunk, is to try the local specialties. And a lot of people will use the scallop shells to drink the wine from the wine fountains. You can see the distances from different cities, pretty far from Jerusalem and Santiago, only 222 kilometers left. Again, Umberto walking on the Camino. So as I said earlier, the most popular section is Sarria to Santiago. If you are traveling all across from Australia, I will not necessarily recommend the last 100 kilometers because it's quite busy and you only see one very small portion of Spain. We can see later which section I will more likely recommend. This one is nice if you are based in Europe, only 1 week of holiday, and you want to end into Santiago. Just there's a lot of people, so you need to keep that in mind. It's a little bit hilly at the beginning as you are leaving the Galician mountains to go down to Santiago, but it's very manageable. And on this section, we can also reduce the daily distances because it's very popular. There's more accommodation. So if you say, I want to walk 15 kilometers every day, we can find options for you. So it's a lot of countryside and forest along the route. Some nice landscape. You can see the road from those pictures. It's always changing. There's different numbers on different sections of the Camino, but most of the time this will be the type of terrain you will have. Not so much roads, but sometimes you can simply not avoid it. But there's not too many cars in the countryside, so it's pretty safe. Some group of nice ladies here. Now we're going to talk about the Camino Portuguese with the long section starting from Lisbon. So it's almost 600 kilometers over 30 days of walking with 5 different sections. It's a very nice walk, but you are going across some old cities. So you start in Lisbon. I will suggest you to have 2 nights in Lisbon, not only to recover from the jet lag, but also to visit the city. It's really beautiful. It's all up and down, but it's really worth it to have 2 full nights in the city just to visit the cathedral, to see the main square as well, maybe do some of the guided tours or go to Belém to try the pastéis de nata as well. So try to spend an extra night in Lisbon, or maybe when you will be leaving the country, if you have to fly it out of Lisbon, try to take more time because after you will see overnight city, but it's the capital, so it's interesting. One of the good cities to see along the way is also Coimbra. If you can have an extra night in Coimbra to visit the university, it's one of the oldest in the country. There's a lot of things to visit. Also in Porto, it's the second biggest city in Portugal. And from Porto, you can do some excursion along the river. You can take the boat and have the cruise for the day. So it's very nice as well to take your time along the way. Here you will see a lot of ancient paths, a lot of woods type of landscape, a lot of olive groves as well. So you can try some olive oil. Vineyards are very nice. When you get to Porto, you need to drink some Porto. They're historical cities. So 620 kilometers, less than 30 days walking, a lot of different landscape as well. And in terms of fitness, you can see the elevation is much lower, so it's much more accessible as well. You see the type of architecture you will encounter. The tramway as well are very nice. Some shoes. As I said earlier, when you are arriving into Porto, you get to choose between 2 roads, the mainland or the coastal run. I like the coastal road because I like seafood myself. I like to go swimming. So when you finish your walking day, usually it's 3:30, 4 p.m. or even 5. With this one, you get a lot of opportunity to go swimming after the walk, just to refresh yourself, eat a lot of nice seafood. You go by some small towns. Oia is a very cute town. Bayona is truly beautiful. So it's good to explore the different options here. Here's more details. So you can see from Porto, you get all along the coast. And when you reach Redondela, around here, this is when the 2 caminos are meeting again. So the mainland and the coastal are meeting in Redondela, and you carry on together. And you go by the beautiful city of Pontevedra. Again, if you have an extra night to spare, stay in Pontevedra, enjoy the seafood, go by the coast. Padron is also a must stop along the route before ending into Santiago. You see, it's beautiful by the coast. You can go swimming. All of the vineyards. You just have to check, maybe for the coastal road, is the season. You don't want to do it towards the end of November, because this is when in the Atlantic coast we have a lot of rain, a lot of wind. So if you walk every day by the coast and it's windy and rainy, it's not a nice holiday. So this type of road is perfect for spring and summer as well. Those are the good times. So it will be between the end of April until mid-October would be the good season for this road. The Camino Frances, it was all year round. It's okay. That's when you are crossing the border between between Portugal and Spain. So there is no hard border. You have two options. Either you walk an extra 12 kilometers to go take a boat, to take a bridge, or here by the border in Camino, you have a little ferry. It's a boat taxi rather than a ferry. So every 30 minutes, the gentleman is crossing the river. There's no hard border. There's nobody checking your passport or anything, really. It's a smooth path of border. Now the Camino Inglés, Camino, Irish Camino as well. It's a shorter walk. It will take you less than a week, and it's about 121 kilometers. You have some hilly coast, and then you move into inland with some countryside. So as you can see, when you get to Mesan, de Vento, and Ordes, it's a little bit upper, but if you see the starting elevation, it's still less than 500 meters elevation. So it's very accessible. Ponte Dume is a very nice town to stay by. Betanzos as well, and then you get to Santiago. So this one is pretty accessible. But if you travel all across from Australia, I don't think this one will be really interesting for you. Either it's a rather short type of walk. I think it's more interesting for the Irish or the British with the historical background, I would say. That's the crossing with Betanzos. A Coruña to Santiago, from this route, technically you have two starting points. So either Ferrol or A Coruña here, and they are meeting together. And then you have 2.5 walking days together. It's pretty similar as well. You can see here they're meeting shorter as well. The previous one was about 120 kilometers. This one is 73 kilometers. I think this one would be interesting if you are landing into A Coruña directly, because there's a small airport, but very accessible type of Camino. You get to see the lighthouse, Santiago's cathedral. Now, the Camino del Norte is divided into two sections, as it's simply the name that is changing when you are reaching Oviedo. So again, you are crossing all across Spain, 466 kilometers, and it takes an average of 23 walking days. Some stops will be interesting along the route. So you are starting in San Sebastian. You are in the Basque country from Spain. If you have time, try to spend 2 nights in San Sebastian and to enjoy the food. Like San Sebastian is really famous for the food, for the pinchos, the peppers, the seafood. So really all across Spain, we all know that San Sebastian has some of the best food in the country. So it's actually the city in Spain with the most Michelin star restaurants. So if you enjoy it, try to book a table. You walk gently by the coast. Really, you have some urban area when you're coming out from the town, but it's rather quick to get out. You are reaching Bilbao. Bilbao used to be a big airport with a lot of ships coming by. Now it's a very interesting spot as well to visit. You have the old city of Bilbao, and you have the Guggenheim Museum as well. So one of the only two in Europe. I think the other one is in Italy, and then you have to go to New York or Los Angeles. So the Guggenheim Museum is also a must to visit. Not only the inside, if you have the time, go inside, obviously. It's very funny to watch, but the outside of the building itself it's quite marvelous. It's like a very big boat and a fish at the same time. It's very interesting architecture. So in terms of walk, it's about 400 kilometers. It's quite moderate. You still need to have a certain level of fitness to do all of the kilometers every day. Another night stop is Santander. If you like archaeology, there's a big museum, the Cantabrian Prehistorical Museum, and they have a lot of artifacts to see. They also have some caves that you can visit. So if you like being by the coast and some history, it's an interesting section to walk. That's some of the coastal town. The beaches as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention. You get to go, you are by the ocean, so you can go swimming as well. There's a lot of nice spots. It's well known, actually. The beginning of the walk is pretty famous for surfing as well. So if you like to go some surfing at the end. Yes, so when you are reaching the end of the Camino del Norte, you are at the bottom of the mountains, so you'll get to see some of those nice landscape. So this is when you are reaching Oviedo. Oviedo, again, if you have some time, try to spend an extra night. There's a lot of historical building to visit, some palacios and castles and cathedral. So this one, it has two names, Camino Primitivo or Camino Original. This is one of the oldest paths. This is the most challenging physically because of the elevation gain you will get and the daily distances. But it's also one of the most beautiful to me in terms of landscape. You are much more in the mountains, in the wild, and there's less people walking these sections. So if you are looking for something remoted with still a lot of traditions, so with the people, the culture, and the food, it's quite different from the other path. So this section is about 315 kilometers and about 2 weeks of walking. Now you can see the elevation graph. As I said, this was the maximum on the Portuguese route. This is the maximum on the Primitivo. So more challenging, but more rewarding as well. So you get to see a lot of forest, some low hills as well at some points. So really what you need to manage is the daily distances, which we can make shorter as well. So I know I said it's challenging, but like it's perfectly doable as well. It's just more rewarding, I would say. Oh yes, when you're crossing this part of Spain, you have to try the cider. In this part of Spain, they don't pour the cider just into your glass. You have to bring some oxygen into it. So you will see that just lifting the bottle as high as possible, and they're just dripping the cider, so apple cider, into the glass to bring some air. That's the only place in Spain they will serve you the cider like this. That's Oviedo with the castle around. The cattle, they're still moving all of the sheep and cows. The Galician mountains, it's quite beautiful. Some small churches as well, much smaller towns, smaller villages along the routes, a lot of cattle. Now the Camino Finisterre. So Finisterre in the old Galician means the very end of the land. We are really in the corner of Spain. That's the end of the walk. 90 kilometers. You can do it within 6 days, and we can also extend it a little bit by 2 walking days into Murcia if you want. It's very accessible, really. You will start directly into Santiago. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 with a very short walking day actually on the last day. So you get to see the lighthouse at the end. So you have some very small villages and very accessible, truly. So that's the famous lighthouse. 0 kilometers, you're at the very end of the Camino. You cannot walk further. In some days, people used to throw away their shoes by the cliffs because just to symbolize, that's it, I did it. Don't do it. It's a lot of pollution. Now, the Via de la Plata. It's all across Spain. You start at the bottom in Sevilla. It's over 40 days walking, and it's going to be around 1,000 kilometers. So remember, the first Camino I showed you was 800 kilometers. This one is even longer. But you get to see some older cities. Like this road used to be was traced by the old Romans, the Roman Empire. So you see a lot of old theaters and places, archaeological places along the way. So yeah, really crossing the whole Iberian Peninsula. You really have a big mix of landscape. You can see with the big change of elevation, you will have some plains with some agricultural, with farming, and then some rugged mountains, and again, farmlands and woodlands. So it's also very interesting to see all of the landscape just by crossing Spain. You need a good level of fitness because of the daily distances. This Camino is very long, but also quite remoted. Some accommodation will be slightly outside of the Camino, so you need to be able to walk the distance. But it's also very rewarding. Sevilla, that's the Plaza de España. Some of the little streets narrowed. The vineyards as well, the sweet vineyards from the south. When you are reaching after Merida, you get to see some of the mountains, some of the farmlands we were talking about. At the beginning, near monasteries, as I said, there's still a lot of Roman places that they are showing off. And now my country, France, Le Puy Camino. So it's about 732 kilometers across France and some national park. So you will need around 30 days to do the walk. You will start in Le Puy-en-Velay. So to reach this city, you will need to land into Lyon. For all of the previous ones, we will give you the airports as well. But here you start in Le Puy. 2 nights can be interesting as well. So you get to visit the cathedral, the monastery, and the Virgin Mary statue as well. And then some rest day as well in Conques au Cahors could be interesting. And at the end in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, except if you carry on into the French route. The biggest elevation change would be at the beginning because you are in the Auvergne area, but then it's rather easy. Really, you are in much flatter surfaces. It's more hilly in terms of landscape. So this part of the national park used to be volcanoes. So it says dormant. Technically, they are dead. They're not going to erupt ever again. A lot of them have some lakes actually inside of the crater. So you do have a big mix of landscape here. A lot of farmlands, but different type of farmlands across it. You will see some vineyards as well, some plateaux that are just cattle, but like national park, so it's all protected area. So for this section, you need a moderate fitness level, really. It's quite accessible. So that's Le Puy-en-Velay with one of the Virgin Mary to visit. That's the plateau from the beginning of the walk. As you can see, it's quite nice. Some hilly French hills. Market, vegetable, fruit, cheese as well. Chemin de Compostelle. We don't call it Camino de Santiago, but Chemin de Compostelle. And you can see you have the white and red mark. This marks the GR, so the hiking route. You will see this mark all across the walk. Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, the last town on this Camino. Now, the Camino Invierno. This one is starting in Ponferrada. It's like a variant section of the French route. Fewer people, a bit of mountains, and you can do it all year around. It's more remoted, so it's quite nice with Monforte de Lemos. It's a very nice city as well to have. In terms of elevation, you are higher but you don't have the big challenge of like big mountains to cross. You are already in the mountains, so you don't go up too much, except when you crossed before the town as well. But it's very manageable, really. It's very smooth. There's a lot of roads and bridges and vineyards as well. You'll see those picturesque um, landscape with the vineyards across the mountains in Spain. This is the area. So it's only 271 kilometers, and it can be done within 11 walking days in a very nice way. Landscape, a lot of nature, I would say, in this one, with some forest around. Those are the vineyards, so all across the mountains. There's also some other section. I know it's called Follow the Camino, but technically around Europe, you also have other roads. So this one is the Via Francigena. It started in the Cathedral of Canterbury, and it crosses France, Switzerland, Italy, all the way into Rome. You will need around 100 days to do the walk, but most of our pilgrims, they are coming into 2 times or 3 times to do the walk. A lot of people will start in Canterbury, stop in Besançon at the border, do another section into Placenza, and another section into Rome. You don't need to do it in one shot. You can take breaks. Same goes for the Camino de Santiago. It's just this one is very long, so take your time. Have some extra days as well. At some point, you will need it as well, but just to spend more time, explore some cities. So the first section, Canterbury, you start in England. Very nice, very green hills. You have to take the ferry to cross the border. Well, to cross the English Channel to get to France, and then you get to Calais. So north of France, very similar type of landscape with England for the first few days walking. So that will be the English section. That's when you get to France. Some sections in Italy as well. I think that's the around Besançon. We have now what you can expect when you're traveling with us. I think I've told you enough, but big connection with the nature. Most of the caminos, I would say, most section, like 80 to 90% of your walk would be in the nature, in across farmlands, the fields, the woods, and the mountains. So it's really being yourself and also meeting new people in the nature. If you are quite quiet enough as well, you can see some of the wildlife. Sometimes you get to see some deers, look at the birds and the flowers. Really just breathe in, breathe out, disconnect from the big data, the big cities. You get to meet people. So maybe you will be traveling with a group, with your family, with your friends, or on your own. But don't forget, when you are walking, when you are stopping at the restaurants or at your accommodation, 90% of the people around you are pilgrims. They are going towards the same direction. So if you are nice enough and if you want to, you get to socialize. Every year, there's stories online of people meeting across the Camino, sometimes just for friends or sometimes for the rest of their life. They get wed together. So, you just need to be open-minded because you are going to meet so many beautiful people with different background culture coming from different countries. Like myself, I'm French, so I know not everybody will speak French or English as well. So I get to meet a lot of different people across. A lot of the time, I will meet some Germans along the road, and we're gonna walk together for a few days and then continue doing our own things. So it's up to you to meet people, because if you say, I want to be on my own, I want to stay in my corner and live this experience for myself, it's perfectly fine. Nobody is going to force you to socialize on anything. This is a journey. You do it on your own terms as well. The food. You're gonna try many different food. You're gonna, depending on the section you are choosing, you get to have all of the seafood, the tapas, all of the fresh vegetables, the latas, the cheese, the wine, you know, try everything. You are getting into a new country, into a new culture as well. Even if you have some dietary requirement, if you are celiac, vegan, you don't want to eat pork, you just let us know and we will make sure that all of the accommodation have food for you adapt as well into your stomach to make sure you can really enjoy the Camino because you are walking every day. So you're gonna need a lot of food, a lot of energy as well. In terms of accommodation, I've told you earlier, depending on your budgets or your requirements, we can have different type of accommodations. We have the hostels for the smaller budgets, I'll say. So a lot of shared dormitories with bunk beds. Very nice to meet people. A lot of the time, there's a big mix in terms of age. Hostels in is not only for the teenagers backpacking. I know with my mom, we are going to hostels, or she's going on into hostels on her own. She's over 65. She's always safe. She doesn't even speak anything else than French, and yet she's traveling into those accommodation when she's going on the Camino without me. The pensions, it's similar to a bed and breakfast, but with more rooms, I would say. So you have your own privacy, you have your own room and bathroom. You will not necessarily share the facilities with other guests. In the bigger towns and some villages, we get to have some upgraded accommodation. So some bigger hotels, some rural houses. It really depends on the city. So if I have a big town, I will have more options for accommodation. If I am in the area of Morgade, it's only two bed and breakfast, so there's less options obviously. And the paradors. The paradors are old buildings, used to belong to the church, most of them, and the Spanish government bought them again, refurbished them, and they became hotels, but like luxurious hotels, 4 to 5 star. It's not available every day along the Camino. The most famous one being the one into Santiago. It's right next to the cathedral. You cannot be closer from the cathedral than staying at the Parador. So this one, mm, depending on which Parador you stay in, you will need a bigger budget some of the nights. But it's a beautiful stay. It's a historical building. You have all of the comfort from a hotel as well. And almost everybody staying in Paradors are pilgrims because it's part of the way. Here are some examples of the accommodation. So the hotel looks in Santiago, we like to work with them. I would say 95% of our hotels in Santiago are really into the town center. It's all walkable distances anyway, and it's the last day, it's the last night on the Camino. So all of the hotels know that you will be looking for comfort. So they have good beddings, everything is clean, and then make sure that the guests are really welcome. We have some other type of accommodation, like in Puerto Marin, we have the Hotel Ferramentero. They are very nice with the swimming pool, the spa. You are by the river. They're very nice. So depending, as I said, depending on the size of the city, we can look at different options. Now, in terms of training, let me take a bit of water first. So I'm sure if you are here, I'm pretty sure you already hikes. You're already hikers. You go every weekend or every 2 to 3 weeks on a hike. You like doing a lot some sightseeing when you go on holidays. So you already have your level of fitness. But if you are planning on doing a full Camino over 30 days walking, you need to train a little bit more because here maybe you are still working or maybe you are retired, but most of us were spending most of our days just sitting at a desk or sitting on the bus, on the subway. So we are not as active as we would be on the Camino. On the Camino, you will spend between 4 to 6 or 8 hours for the longest days or the slowest walking. So you need to be prepared. So you need to have your plan increase every week to make sure you are reaching your goal and make sure to make the distances. Yes, if you can try to train into different type of terrains. So myself, I live in Dublin. Before going on the Camino, I trained a little bit. I went to the Wicklow Mountains. I did the Kerry as well in Killarney National Park. So I'm trying to have something different than the park that I have in Dublin town, trying to get outside and gain a little bit of elevation. It's the same when you go to the gym. If you're on the treadmill, try to put it a little bit upper, being on the flat surface is fine, but it's not necessarily going to challenge you, you know. And in terms of clothing, so I know that most of the pictures people are sharing around on the Camino are hiking boots. This is not the best recommendation for all of the hikes. So you need to check depending on the section you're doing. Maybe you will need some trainers or like the trail type of shoes. Hiking boots is not fitting all of the path. I will not take my hiking boots if I do the last 100 kilometers starting in Sarria. This will be too heavy for me. The same for the type of clothing I will wear. You have to check the weather, not just for the months, but a few days before packing. For example, this year in Spain, you could see on the news that they had a lot of rain in October, and usually October is pretty dry. So, you have to check to make sure your outfits are matching the weather. So, when is the best time to walk the Camino? I said all of the Caminos are different, but some months are better than others. I'll say after Easter, so after the 20th of April, with May and June, those are the good time. It's quiet. The weather it's still, for European at least, the weather is still manageable, around 30 degrees. And when we get to July and August, the temperature can be up to 45 degrees Celsius. So it's still manageable. You just need to make sure you are planning properly. You leave your accommodation early in the morning. You do most of the walk before lunchtime, longer breaks, avoid the sun, and have a lot of water. That is extremely important to plan water. Someone traveling in December doesn't need 2 liters of water per day on the walk. Someone in August will definitely need it. So May, June, and September as well. But I want to warn you about September. The weather is very good, but if you choose to walk the last 100 kilometers, it can be quite busy. So try to go towards the end of September to avoid the crowds, but still with good weather, usually. So as I said, some Caminos are open all year round, not all of them. So depending on your dates, we might need to adapt your schedule. Some Caminos are crazy some time of the year. Like I said, beginning of September, I will not recommend it for the last 100 kilometers because it's pretty crazy. Um, and yes, you can see most of this information that I shared. It's actually on our website. You can see the high season, shoulder season, off season, but also the you cannot travel season. Not because it's the winter and the weather is bad, but because the accommodation are simply closing for the season. It's not manageable for some small B&Bs to be open all year round. So a lot of them will only open from April until the end of October. So if you want to do the Via de la Plata in December, I'm afraid we're going to have to change the schedule because accommodations will be closed. So that's why planning and looking for the informations are very important before booking all of the services. So that's why we're here as well. Yes, so that's a picture from our website that showed you in different colors the good, the okay, and the better seasons to do it. In terms of outfits, you can check online as well. This is all on our website. The number of clothes you need to have, how many shorts, pants, underwear, sunscreen, all of that will be listed just to make sure you don't forget anything. Luggage transfer. So, yes, packing is important, but keep in mind that we can have your luggage transferred every day. So, you're packing your big suitcase, well, your suitcase, but also your daily backpack. You're not going to carry everything with you. If you decide, we can transport it every day from one hotel to the next one. So, each bag needs to be a maximum of 20 kilo. If you want to transport more than 20 kilo every day, you will have to pay for an extra bag. So think about it as well when you are packing. And remember, you can do a laundry, okay? After you can have a rest day once a week to do a laundry and to do some sightseeing. So if you are doing the full Camino Frances, you don't need 35 underwear. You can do some laundry along the way. Yes, so 20 kilo for most of the Caminos, just 13 kilo in France. The regulations are different. Yeah. Yes. So as I said, I'm here and my colleagues were here when we are doing negotiation. When you are booking the services, we're going to keep you informed as well. We're going to send you the hotel list as soon as we confirm it. So if your booking is confirmed in 2 days, I'm going to send you the confirmation, even if you are traveling in July next year. I have no interest on waiting last minute to give you the name of your hotels. So that's also give you the time to prepare, the time to research, to make sure that you like the accommodation, that it's not too far away for you from the Camino, and you know what to expect. You know, when we're not hiding anything from you. And when you are on the Camino, as I said, you have our phone number, you have the app on your phone. We are not ghosting you, okay? So if you need help, really call us. That's why we are around to assist you and make sure you enjoy your holidays. You know, the Camino is a journey, it's an experience, but it's also a holiday, so you need to enjoy it. Yes, so we will send you a holiday pack. I said it earlier. The holiday pack, we will ship it from Ireland and we can send it to your home in Ireland or directly into your first accommodation along the Camino. I'm not going to send it to your home country because it got lost. We used to send it to Northern America, to England and Australia back in the days, but we had too many parcels that got lost. So we decided to keep it within the EU. So you will have the holiday pack sent to your hotels weeks in advance. It will be either at the reception or someone from the staff will leave it in your room. Inside of it, you will have the pilgrim credential passport, the little document you need to stamp every day to into your accommodation or the local churches as well. You just have the stamp on it, and when you get to the cathedral officina, you can have the certificate. The luggage tag, if you booked it, so you put it on your suitcase with your name, your reference number, and mobile number, so we can keep an eye on it. A little neck buff, a little scarf, depending if you are walking the full Camino or some section, we might send you either the PDF version or the full guided book, the one by John Berkeley, by Cicerone. So it's the official guidebook. And everybody get access to the mobile app on both iOS and Android. It's for free as soon as you book, and you have the GPS on it. So you have the map of the area. You can zoom in, zoom out. You have the track of the Camino in blue, but also your accommodation on it. And if you put your GPS on, you will know exactly where you are. So even if you have the travel documents with the vouchers, you can also use the app to reach your accommodation. So in terms of products, we give you flexibility, obviously. So we don't have set packages starting every Saturday. If you are telling me, I will land into Porto on Tuesday at this hour, I want to walk 8 walking days instead of 7, it's perfect. We can make it for you. We're going to change it. If you want to have one single room, 2 twin rooms, or triple room, we're just going to do our best to match your needs. We'll make sure you have good accommodation in terms of quality and comfort. So all year round, me and my colleagues, we are going across the Camino, visiting some hotels, but also taking our clients' feedback. Every time someone travel into one accommodation, we'll make sure we hear from them and to make sure it's still a good hotel. And if it's not, we're gonna stop working with them. There's no point otherwise. Luggage transfer. So depending on the section or the country, we have different providers. Like in France, it's well known, it's mostly La Malpostal, in Spain, Jacobo. So all of those sections, we've been working with those people for about 10 years. So like really, we have a trust relationship. They know how to do their work and they will transport your suitcase, pick it up in the morning, drop it off in the afternoon. They cannot take pilgrims, okay? They are not taxi drivers. The gentleman will or the lady will pick up bags from different people into one town and bring it to the next one. So if you are too tired to do a section of the walk, you will have to book a taxi or take public transport. Okay. The the luggage transport is a separate type of service. As I said, we are giving you detailed walking notes and access to the maps and all of our information. And we can also have an airport transfer. If you want to be transported from Santiago Airport to your first hotel, it's not a problem. We can add this into your package. For local knowledge as well. So as I said, we are going on the Camino regularly. My colleague Silvia was just on the Via de la Plata last week or 10 days ago doing some of the walks. So we work with all of the accommodation on a daily basis as well. We know them. We have the relationship. 24/7 service. When the office is open, you call this number. If it's closed, you call the emergency line. There's always someone around to assist you. So we've been Follow the Camino has been around since 2006. I think we have the experience around. As I said before, we have the services. We will personalize the itinerary. If you want to stay in paradors, if you want to stay in hostels, we're here. Multilingual, myself, I'm French. Celia is Spanish. We have some colleagues Spanish, some can speak Italian as well. We all speak English, obviously, with our different accents, but we all can assist you. If you need advice as well, I know I'm selling you services, but if you are telling me, look, I don't understand how to take the train from Lyon to Le Puy, I'm gonna show you around and tell you, look, this website is the one you need to go. This is the product you need to book because sometimes we can just give you advice. We're not necessarily going to sell you a taxi transfer when we know that taking the subway from Porto Airport to your accommodation in Porto will be just €2. So, you can save yourself some money. Extended opening hours. As you can see, I was awake from 7:30 this morning, so it's not a problem. And I will have some of my colleagues working on the late shift. So we have the flexibility. We can book some appointments together just to make sure we are calling each other on the same time zone as well. And yes, you can check the rating online as well on TripAdvisor. Facebook and Google if you want to see what our clients are saying about us, not just checking everything from our website. Now, since last year, well, no, I would say we're trying to be more sustainable. Okay, that's not just a need from the market or from every company now. It's really something that our CEO and all of us, I would say, in Follow the Camino, we believe in. So every day when you're on the Camino, you see the nature, you want to protect it. It's just heartbreaking when you see all of the garbage people can leave around. Like we're here to enjoy the nature, not to destroy it. So that's something we want to improve as well within our company, and we want to support as well with our partners in the different countries. So we received last year, in September last year, we received the B Corp certificate with a score of 89.1 point. So it's a label that evaluates in different areas about government, workers, community, environment, and customers. It's just to make sure that we have this level of integrity and the company want to work towards sustainability. So that is something that is important for us. And yeah, and we want to make sure that all pilgrims have the same mentality as well, I would say. We want to make sure to enjoy this planet as long as possible and support the people as well by working with local communities. When I told you we work with different type of accommodation, we are also avoiding big corporate hotels chain that are not necessarily hiring local people or using the local farmers. You know, we have to think small sometimes, and that's also the case with our partner. We want to make sure that family business are still sustainable in the future. That's not just for us, but also for our clients doing the work, you know. So we're reaching the end of the presentation. Congratulations, we all made it for almost an hour of me talking. So we just wanted to share some extra discounts, I would say, with you. So right now it's the end of the presentation. If you are contacting us in the upcoming days or weeks, just tell us whoever you are talking to, either me or my colleagues, Clara, Fernanda, or Daniela. You just say, I was here, I listened to Jade for 1 hour. Can you please give me a 50 € discount? That will be for you for free because you listened to me for 1 hour. So don't forget to mention if you contact us, I was on the presentation, I want the 50 € discount. And also, if you are quick enough, you also get a free airport transfer. So if you want to if you want a landing into Santiago, you want to be transferred to your first hotel, which is 100 kilometers away from the airport, we will give you the free airport transfer only if you are one of the 10 people booking with us. So keep that in mind when you are contacting us. 50 €, and if you are quick enough, the free airport transfer. Okay, I think that's it. Did you have any question for this presentation, at least? And anyway, we are, if you want to pop them on the chat, not sure if I could see it. I could see it. Yeah. Anyway, you can see all of our phone numbers. So those are all connected to us. Anyway, it's just to save some money for you with the international calls. You can call us. You can also send us an email. You send it to info at followthecamino.com. It will be me or one of my colleagues that will get back to you, and we can schedule an appointment, a call, or just chat by email. If you are too shy, it's okay as well. And yes, we'll make sure to create the itinerary for you and try our best. Uh, oh, Okay, I see. Good. Okay, are we all good? No questions? Okay, perfect. Then I think that's the end of our presentation. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me. So don't forget, you can go on our website to check all of the information, or you contact us by email or by call. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.